we're on? Hello world, I have one question for you. If con is the opposite of pro, does that mean Congress is the opposite of progress? Welcome to Feel the Byrne Nightly, everyone. My name is Peyton Byrne and this is Feel the Byrne Nightly. Tonight's topic, criminal justice. The United States has typically been viewed as the paragon of justice originating in our own Constitution. But the only justice our country really needs today is to teach punk teenagers that it's not okay to go to prison, get deported from Dubai, drag race while high, and TP other houses. I'm talking to you, Bieber. Now, when T. Jefferson and the boys were thinking of criminal rights and whatnot while writing the Constitution, they based it off a term known as due process. Due process means that laws must be applied fairly and equally to all people, especially to a citizen accused of a crime. The Constitution uses the phrase in the 5th and 14th Amendments declaring that government shall not deprive anyone of life, liberty, property, or Kanye West without due process of law. The 5th Amendment, however, protects people from actions of the federal government, while the 14th Amendment applies to the state and local governments. The purpose of the 4th Amendment is to deny the feds the authority to make general searches and seizures of property. A major issue of the years has been unreasonable searches and seizures. Or maybe the cop is just really lonely and likes staring at people in their sleep. The rules can get complicated, but the rules can also change. The general principle is that searches are valid methods of enforcing law and order, but unreasonable searches are prohibited. The right of the people to be secure against unreasonable search and seizures shall not be violated. Over the years, the Supreme Court has interpreted the 4th Amendment to allow the police to search the following: the person arrested, things in plain view of the accused person, places or things that the arrested person could reach, property where there is strong suspicion that a person could be in danger, and that's it. The 5th Amendment requires that a citizen cannot be accused of a serious crime without a grand jury investigation, more commonly known as trial by jury or trial by people forced to be there but conflicted because they get free food. The 5th Amendment also grants the right to a defendant to refrain from testifying against himself or herself. Probably the most famous modern interpretation of this provision is the right to remain silent. The famous Miranda v. Arizona case required the individuals arrested for a crime must be advised of their right to remain silent and to have counsel present, intended to prevent forced or involuntary confessions that could not be used in federal courts later. Now, police departments must issue warnings known as Miranda rights to people that they arrest, and cops like Channing Tatum and 21 Jump Street screwed up royally. A very important principle related to the 4th and 5th Amendments is the exclusionary rule, which upholds the principle gathered illegally cannot be used in trial. The 6th Amendment guarantees that an individual accused of a crime has the right to have the assistance of counsel for his defense, also known as right to counsel. Basically, you have the right to pay a plethora of cash to have a strange lawyer that you don't know talk about you in a smelly old courtroom. Or if you can't afford one, the government will send you an eager lawyer to help you out. Hopefully he doesn't smell. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy a speedy trial by an impartial jury of the state and district where the crime was committed. The 8th Amendment prohibits cruel and unusual punishments, a concept rooted in English law. But again, what does the phrase really mean? By far the most controversial issue that centers on the 8th Amendment is capital punishment, or the practice of issuing death sentences to those convicted of major crimes. Excessive bail should not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. In summary, rights of those accused of crimes are protected in other parts of the Constitution. For example, Article 1 affirms the right of writ of habeas corpus, a court order that requires a judge to evaluate whether there is sufficient cause for keeping a person incarcerated. However, the most extensive protections are found in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th Amendment as previously mentioned. Now we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our sponsors, but before we do that, a quick reminder to follow us on Twitter at TotalFratMove. And now we're back. And speaking of cruel and unusual punishment, we have Brian Bruns in the studio today, and I've just been notified that he's dying to talk about the death penalty. So Brian, how about it?
Well, Peyton, glad to be here. Thanks for having me here on Feel the Byrne. And I'm here to talk about a pretty grave issue, is the death penalty. Now, the death penalty and capital punishment is dated back to the year 1608, where Captain George Kendall was shot by firing squad for spying on the Spanish. Now, capital punishment has advanced some and extends to lethal injection, firing squad, or hanging. And it's currently illegal in 19 states, including the District of Columbia. And I'm here to talk to you, the people, about why it's wrong, or why it's right. The ACLU says that it's wrong because it takes away our fundamental human rights, but others argue that people lose those rights.
Well, could you kind of add on my own perspective on this? I know deterrence has been a main issue in capital punishment, knowing as the Southeast has been usually utilize capital punishment, but they still have the highest crime rate in America. So that's kind of a perspective. And also another issue for against it, maybe we shouldn't have the government be an institution of revenge. And I think the media kind of influences that. What do you think?
Well, the media does have a huge part in it. A lot of people talk, a lot of organizations protest and petition against these sort of things.
Right.
In fact, we have 3,000 criminals currently on death row.
Wow.
And 14,000 executions that have occurred, or 1,400, excuse me. And almost 300 of those have come in Texas alone. So a lot of states are freely and quite liberal with this, even though people have been exonerated post-execution. So the media is trying to say that wait and make sure it's sure, or abolish it completely just in case we mess up.
Wow, thank you, Brian Bruns. I appreciate it. And I know people would kill to be on the show right now, but we'll get back to another commercial break. This is Feel the Byrne Nightly. Now, let's have our special analyst come in, the one and only Magic Mike. Old Peepa.
Thank you for the introduction, Pete.
He's going to talk to us about the topic of gun control and how it relates to current affairs happening in our world today.
Yeah, so the United States is definitely oftentimes given a bad rap, and deservedly so, for our pretty lax gun law control. So just one fact, I want to say this real quick and let it sink in to you guys. Currently in the United States of America, you can be on the no-fly list, but still purchase a weapon.
Wow.
You know? Yeah. So you know, the United States, we've made efforts to sort of curtail the gun issue here in America. You know, within the past decade, automatic weapons like AK-47s have thankfully been taken out of gun shops. But still, you can purchase automatic weapons or semi-automatic weapons. You can purchase semi-automatic weapons, and you know the process for obtaining a gun is not all that involved. Like I know in the United States, you can go to a gun show and just purchase a gun off the street. Don't have to even show valid ID necessarily, or show proof of a background check. You can just show up, purchase a gun, and walk out, no questions asked. Yeah.
Wow. Do you know how the media might influence that gun control policy or lack of?
Well, yeah. Mass shootings, deservedly so, get a lot of media attention. So a lot of people, view in to look at stories like, Sandy Hook, which occurred a few years back, San Bernardino, which occurred last week. And, so the media definitely seems to advocate for more gun laws, and viewers of the media seem to be made aware of the fact that, more gun control laws are needed. There's still opposition, of course, the NRA, obviously a pretty famous interest group that opposes gun control laws. But President Obama spoke earlier this week about the need for gun control laws, and definitely I would say the media seems to advocate for gun control laws.
How about the Constitution? I know that's a very sacred amendment, I suppose.
Sure, yeah, the Second Amendment, right to bear arms. Yeah, but one thing I would like to say, and this is the last thing that I'll talk about, the Founding Fathers had no idea what kind of weapons would be made available to citizens, today. Back then, you take one shot and you spend, 45 seconds reloading that sucker, whereas now you've got semi-automatic weapons that can shoot off, 10 rounds in less than 5 seconds. So,
stuff to keep in mind, definitely.
Definitely.
Especially with the upcoming refugees, imposing war, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. Any terrorist groups in general, so...
Definitely. It's an important issue, and I'm glad you brought me on your show to talk about it.
Thank you, Magic Mike. Old Peepa. We'll be back after this commercial break. That appears all we have left today, folks. This here is the truth. I could be in 20 movies, but I'll never be an actor. This is Feel the Byrne Nightly. We'll catch y'all later. Thanks for watching.